Be your only competition. Our world from time immemorial loves to compare and compete and measure success based on the accomplishment of others. We compare the clothes we wear, the neighborhood we live in, the kind of car we drive, even the handbags we own. This comparison rarely brings any joy into our lives, unfortunately. Comparison by their very nature are unfair. We know ourselves better than we know others. As a result, we compare the worst we know of ourselves to the best we assume in others. So, what does it mean to be your only competition? When you compete with yourself, you are essentially dismissing other people's measure for success. You might find yourself pursuing something that would seem crazy or like a waste of time to someone else, but it doesn't matter anymore. You aren't subject to that opinion of you. Why do you or why should you compete with yourself only? The most important part of competing against yourself is the ability to set your values and metrics. You choose the goals that fit you best, what you want to compete in, and what you don't. Either ways, when you compete with yourself, you won't be lured into other people's definition of success, neither their values. By constantly competing against others, you teach yourself to always compare yourself with them, especially the seemingly better ones. You begin to feel like you are never good enough, which only serves to steal all the joy from your life. Also, by comparing yourself with others, you may never truly appreciate what you do or what you have. Knowing this universal truth and no peace. Someone would always be more beautiful, brilliant, articulate, and educated than you. So why waste your life comparing yourself with others, not appreciating the success and accomplishments you have made by yourself for yourself? I hope this all makes sense. I will use my own experience. As the first child, I had to be the SI unit for goodness to my siblings. I always needed to measure up to the criteria placed before me. I'm pretty sure any firstborn will be able to relate. I had to do exceptionally well in school, be a good example and whatnot. More so as a girl, they were already laid down standards I had to meet with, taking care of people, cooking, market runs, etc. As such, I carried this mentality to other areas of my life. I would always measure myself with whom I thought was doing better. Every birthday, I would ask myself what people about my age were doing that I was not. For me, it was a competition based on what the norm was. Eventually, I soon came to realize that everyone has a purpose by God that is unique to them. We are all different and our life paths are not the same. I had been doing this the wrong way. I have been checking out other people to see where they were with the views to compare. What age to get my master's degree, what age to get married, what age to have children, etc. All the while, putting unnecessary pressure on myself. While I'm telling you not to, or while I'm telling you to be your only competition and not compare yourself with other people, you have to be very careful not to be too comfortable and such become mediocre. That's what I learned. Because you may sit in your place since you don't want to compare, you could now start to make excuses for lack of enthusiasm and determination. I think that this is plain mental laziness. Competing with yourself is when you measure yourself against yourself, your strengths and weaknesses, what you need to develop. Also, the habits that are good and bad for you, because where you are going and the need to have a vision for yourself. There's absolutely nothing wrong with in checking in with other people who may be wiser, more experienced than you. This is where role models, mentors, and coaches come in. You reach out to others who have done better than you to push you on, having checks and balance as well as accountability. At the end of the day, the only person that can push you is you. You compete with yourself, but you need to be accountable both to yourself and the partners pushing and cheering you on. Now I compare myself with stuffs like, what did you list out to accomplish this year? Have I achieved it? If yes, fantastic. If not, how can I achieve it? Sometimes I carry tasks over to another time period while evaluating why I could not achieve before. I have had to recognize situation force majeure, things out of the fears of my control, and concluded that God probably had a bigger or better purpose. Then I articulate them in my notepad and move on. This had made me or has made me in a better place every year with the purpose perspective on many issues. Let me bring it down to the issues of our looks as ladies. I strongly advise you not to be in competition with anyone or anybody. The way God created you is different from anybody else. Some people have very dense bones, coily frizzy hair, and formidable stamina, while others do not. Unfortunately, a lot of young women or women get drawn into this competitive mode. Originality is very scarce. Everybody is a replica of someone else. Be your authentic self. Find and live out your purpose. Ask yourself, why are you here? Dig deep down into yourself. Understand your calling and work towards it. This is truly liberating, trust me.